Welcome to Cremona Circuit. Until this past week, the 3.7-kilometre circuit located in northern Italy, the newest addition to the World Superbike calendar for 2024, was also essentially unknown for the entire paddock. Not anymore, after a two-day test featuring two-thirds of the grid. Here is how the first Superbike action in Cremona went down for these 16 riders and for the hundreds of fans in attendance. With rain forecast and eventually arriving for day one, some teams opted to test only on the Friday in Italy. That included reigning world champions Aruba IT Racing Ducati, with championship leader Alvaro Bautista completing around 100 laps, finishing 9th overall without a final time attack. Teammate Nicola Bulliga did manage to drop his time in the final hours of the test, with a 1:29.2 lifting him to 6th overall. The number 11 had lapped Cremona the previous week on a street bike during the Women's Circuit Racing World Championship test. The four-rider Yamaha contingent also only took to the track on Friday, with Pata Promethean Yamaha and GRT Yamaha present in Cremona. Jonathan Ray was the first rider out at 9 AM sharp. He was also unfortunately the first rider back in due to a small technical issue 10 minutes into the session. A small roadblock on his way to 51 laps and 7th in the morning session. 1 position and 1,000th of a second ahead on the timesheets in the morning was Andrea Locatelli, who had lapped Cremona on a Yamaha R7 alongside Nicolo Canepa a few days prior. The Italian then rose to 2nd overall in the final hour of the test with a 1:28.9. GRT's Dominic Egerter also came in with some limited running at Cremona at a track day in early May. On Friday, he finished 12th overall with 68 laps completed on the full trim WorldSBK bike. But the rider at the top of not only the Yamaha runners, but all 16 riders at Cremona was WorldSBK's most recent first-time podium finisher, Remy Gardner, who was also the first rider to drop into the 1:28s around 2 hours before the end and on an SCQ tyre. The Australian and Locatelli did in fact end the day as the only riders to break that barrier. The remaining 10 riders did also test on Thursday at Cremona. Top of the timesheets on Thursday and for the first half of Friday by quite some margin was Mark VDS's Sam Lowes. The number 14 was the only rider to leap into the 1:29s on Thursday and then lowered that bar to a 1:29.1 on Friday morning, 4/10ths clear of second before leaving the circuit at lunch. Michael Ruben Rinaldi came closest on Thursday with a 1:30.1, dropping his time to a 1:29 flat and 3rd overall at the end of Friday. He was also alongside Bulliga at Cremona a week prior on a street bike. Andrea Iannone, meanwhile, only completed 32 laps on Thursday morning, remaining off track for the rest of the test. All 5 manufacturers were on track at one point or another in Cremona, but Honda was the only one to bring its full roster of riders to the test. Iker Lecuono's back on track for the first time since his Assen FP3 injury, setting the only sub-1:30 lap amongst the Hondas. Xavi Vierge completed more laps than his teammate with 148 over both days compared to Lecuono's 99. Petronas Mia's Taron McKenzie and Adam Noureddin were also on site, with the number 95 finishing the test approximately half a second behind Vierge and a second ahead of his Malaysian teammate. Representing BMW in Cremona was the Benova Racing Team, with Rocket BMW's Toprak Razgatlioglu and Michael van der Mark saving their limited test allocation days for Misano next week. Scott Redding won the Battle of the Beamers with a 1:29.2, with the number 45 complementing the final sector of the Cremona track after his first 20 laps on Thursday. Garrett Gerloff followed a 10th of a second behind his teammate, with 143 laps completed over both days. And the only Kawasaki rider on track, Tito Rabat, was also one of the brightest spots of this inaugural Cremona test, because not only was the number 53 the most active rider on track, with 233 laps completed over both days, but he was also inside the top 5 for the best part of it, only dropping to 10th overall after the final time attacks. 5 World Supersport riders were also on track at Cremona, with Adrian Huertas topping their respective timesheets by a comfortable margin over Pacetti Racing's Chan Odju. The Petronas Honda pairing of Kaita Toba and Kyril Idam Bin Pawi followed on the timesheets. And one-time 125cc race winner in 1996, Ivan Goy, completed the timesheets filling in for Raffaele Di Rosa at QJ Motor. Testing duties for WorldSBK resume next week at Misano, the same venue which will host round 4 in 3 weeks' time. Cremona, for now we say, ci vediamo a settembre. We'll see you in September.